My next guest spent 7 seasons playing for 4 different NFL franchises. That means teams. And when injury cut Michael Stone's career short in 2007, he switched his focus to an alternative franchise. Stone founded the Professional Athlete Franchise Initiative. It is an educational program for retired athletes. Also joining us, John Rotche. He is the president of Title Boxing Club. This is the nation's leading boxing franchise. John is also a former football coach with the University of Michigan. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I want to start off with you, Michael, and just to understand, what was the injury? What happened to you?
I was playing for the New York Giants.
Right.
I had a hip injury, and in week 5, I decided to have the surgery, and that's when I found out that I was retired.
That was it. You got the message.
That was it.
That must not have been a happy day.
I don't think any athlete retires on their own terms, so
Right.
it's a normal thing in professional sports.
Okay, so you got the word that you involuntarily were retired.
Yes.
What went through your mind?
I think getting prepared. I think that it's something that you know is coming, but you're never prepared for. So one thing for me was, how do I get myself prepared to transition? The
transition from being an active player to transitioning to the real world, where you've got to actually show up for work and create some money.
Exactly.
John, I want to turn to you because you had a transition, but of a different nature. Right. I want to talk, if you could just explain what your injury was, what your state was, and how you have managed to work through that to create this boxing franchise.
Okay, well, probably not unlike Michael, he transitioned after an injury. Unfortunately, mine came prior to playing 7 years in the NFL. I was a recruited middle linebacker for Michigan, and I had a career-ending neck injury that broke my 5th cervical vertebrae and left me a quadriplegic for some time.
It left you a quadriplegic. So how did you regain your focus, your discipline to work through that to create this franchise?
Yeah, well, I can't take credit for my recovery.
Right.
That was beyond my control, but once I regained and I worked with the athletic department, when I left, I joined the franchise world, and I was actually in multiple brands. I've been doing this about 20-something years, and then I took over with my partners, Title Boxing Club, about two years ago now.
John, what's the biggest challenge for people to make this transition into the business world?
You know, I think really the biggest challenge is there's an interesting dynamic, because you want to be an entrepreneur, right? Because you're owning the business, but especially when you get into a franchise, you know, by nature of what a franchise is, you really have to follow a process. So sometimes people have a difficult time being an entrepreneur, to want to go off on their own, but yet stay within the banks of a river and follow a system.
Michael, I wonder if you could comment on that, because that seems to be at least a potential stumbling block. Is you're used to being the star.
Yes.
People do what you say. Now, in the world of a franchise, you have to be mindful of what other people are requiring of you.
Exactly, and I think John hit the nail on the head. When I played professional sports, I had a playbook. Things were guided, things were structured. And I think when you get out of that world and start over in the business world, it's free-flowing as an entrepreneur. So I think that's why franchising specifically is good, because I think athletes execute well. And we do well in that kind of formatting, to where you have a structure.
Tell us about the program that you've developed.
Well, what we do is we take professional athletes from all sports. We take them through franchise education. And the reason we educate athletes is because I was offered, just about every day an opportunity to invest in something. But I never was offered an opportunity to educate myself on it. So we really put education first. We let them know what franchising is, how you can be successful in it, and we let them go from there.
And is this a one-to-one experience, or is this something that takes place over a particular period of time in a classroom setting, or how does it work, and how long does this all take?
We do one-day workshops. We do 3-day workshops. We partnered with the NFL last year to create the NFL Franchise Boot Camp, which was a 3-day experience in Ann Arbor at University of Michigan.
How many people are you looking to have in the program?
Well, throughout the course of the past 3 years, we've taken 500 athletes through franchise education. We don't hope that they all become franchisees. We hope that they all learn what franchising is all about.
John, we're talking about football players, obviously. Right. Your experience, obviously, as a football player, but with a boxing franchise. What about people from different sports?
You know, really, boxing, and with Title Boxing Club, one of the reasons we got involved with this program, number one, it's all about, transition. And in franchising, people are transitioning, whether they're transitioning from the IT business industry marketing, manufacturing, or athletics. And Title Boxing Club, we're the nation's largest, as you said.
So does Michael bring you in? I mean, does he bring you into the seminars and the coaching situations to explain what goes on?
Yeah, really. Our whole thing is about educating these folks. And I think people think of franchising as just Subway and McDonald's, when there's over about 770,000 different franchisees out there in America, and it's really about education, letting them open their eyes to see what's all available to them.
Is there, do you find in meeting players that maybe are not as familiar with it as you are, do you find that there's some big misconceptions about franchising?
No, there is. And I don't know if it's misconceptions as much as
lack of awareness or knowledge?
Again, it's very often people think of it's more the QSR industry.
Right, the quick serve restaurant business, right?
Yep.
What about the amount of money, Michael, that this takes to do? I mean, the course is one thing, and then you got to think of, gee, how much money are you going to put into a franchise?
Exactly. It's an investment into yourself. I think a lot of athletes look at it as, how can I invest in myself in creating my own business? So how does something,
let's say, what would this course cost over a period of time?
Our course for athletes is free.
It's free?
We don't charge the athletes to go through our course.
So how do you make money?
The franchisors. We're totally supported by the franchise community. Groups like Title Boxing come in and...
Because you want to be able to tap into this network of people that want to do this business.
Yeah, I mean, we want to educate them, and if it works out, the Title Boxing Club is right for them, even better.
I want to thank you guys very much. John Rotche joining us from Title Boxing. My thanks to Michael Stone. He's the founder of PAFI. Coming up next...